It's time to start thinking about your pageant journey in a much bigger way. And the moment that I decided my legacy in pageantry was actually going to be so much bigger than the crown or title itself, everything in my life changed because I went from no longer needing a crown. I went from no longer needing it and needing the win in order to validate myself. And instead, I started looking at when the crown comes off, when the pageant is done, what do I want to come back to? And this is a really important message that I want to share with you, Pageant Gal, because I'm reminded right now we're going through a challenge in my world, the Crown to Empire Challenge. And I just shared with the VIPs a story about how I remember the day that I knew I was a full body yes to building the Pageant Gal full time. It was after I had just competed at a national pageant for a week. I placed in the top 15. I won the social media award, and I came back home on the Sunday. I was in Toronto, I was 4 hours away, I had to drive home. I was unpacking, doing laundry, and then I had the Sunday scaries. At the time, I was working as a nurse and as a personal trainer, and I had a 6 or a 7 a.m. client the next morning that I hadn't prepared for. I had several things that I had to prepare for, and I hadn't started doing any of them. And what was worse is that I didn't want to do any of it. Like I was so sick and tired of it. And I did it anyways, because that's what you got to do. Sometimes, you got to put on your big girl adult panties and put them up and go do the work that you know you have to do. But I knew that I didn't want to do another pageant, have it be over, and win or lose. I was coming back to a career, into a life that I wasn't fully in love with. That was a huge reality that check that I had to have. And it's what led me to a couple months later, because shortly after that, I did sign up for another national virtual pageant. But here was the difference. Because at the time I was training, I was really aiming to go for an international title because I hadn't won one yet. But what was even bigger was that before that national pageant even happened, I did a challenge. And that's why I love running challenges and masterclasses, because they truly changed my life and my business. And I want to give that opportunity to so many other women who want that door to open for them. So I was in a challenge. It was a week-long challenge. And I knew after the first day, it wasn't even at the first day, it was before the first day. We did like this pre-challenge party call. And I remember thinking to myself by the end of that call, and it was a challenge about confidence and clients, a boot camp of something like that. I don't remember the exact name, but the whole goal was for people who were coaching or building businesses online to learn how to build their confidence and get more clients. And that's what I was doing. I was already doing pageant coaching in some capacity. I was barely making any money, like literally less than maybe like $500 to $1,000 a month. But deep down, I knew I wanted to do this full time, that this was the calling that I had to answer. And I remember after that first pre-party call day that I didn't care what this woman was selling. I was buying it. I was full body in. It was so important to me to say yes to this, because after that pageant, that virtual pageant, I didn't care what the outcome would be. I wanted to know on the other side, I was creating a different reality for myself. And that's exactly what I did. I signed up and I said yes. I was terrified. I had to call the bank. First of all, even before that, I had to tell my family. I was like, you guys, I'm investing in this like really big thing. I didn't have to tell them, but my family, my partner, it means a lot to me to communicate what I'm going through. And on top of it, it was a big investment that I wasn't just about to make without any conversation with anybody. It was 10K USD for a full year of a coaching program. I had to call the bank to raise my credit card limit. And I said, I'm doing it. I paid in full. And I said, giddy up. That's why in January in the Make It Rain membership, we run the Giddy Up Challenge, because it's a new year. And there's like this whole new year energy and momentum. And I knew that it was going to open up something bigger for me that a title would never do. So a year-long coaching program I signed up for. And the craziest thing happened. Not only did I win the national pageant, not only did I win the international pageant, I went on after that and won two more pageants. So after I said yes to this full body yes to this calling, this bigger thing beyond a pageant stage, beyond a pageant title, I won four pageants in a row. Big pageant, like pageants that had other people, pageants that required me to compete and get out of my comfort zone for pageant wins. Because when you are building your life and legacy beyond the title, the win inevitably comes because you're standing so much taller as the confident queen that you are meant to be. And what lights my heart up so much now is that I get to help my clients with this. And trust me, I get it. Where you're at, all you're seeing is what's in front of you and what's around you. And that's where so many women have a hard time choosing a different reality for themselves because you're a product of your surroundings. And most people's surroundings are very average or very basic, and they're settling for the bare minimum, if that. And that's where you have to be in a space that challenges you to think different, to move bigger, to dream bigger, and to normalize big goals and achievements for yourself in and out of pageantry. That's why spaces like the Make It Ring membership, like the Queen Collective, are so powerful and transformational simply because you're in a room of people who are thinking, dreaming, and moving bigger. Most recently, it was just New York Fashion Week recently. And I remember a couple of years ago, I didn't have any clients in New York Fashion Week. And even when I was working with quite a few people at the time, nobody was in New York Fashion Week. Nobody was talking about New York Fashion Week. Now, I think I had 5 clients walk in New York Fashion Week. And one of my clients from the Queen Collective hosted her own shoe line in New York Fashion Week. I'm so freaking proud. Amber, I don't know if you're listening to this message, but huge shout out to you in winning Spark Branding because that is incredible. That's what happens when you start to look at life beyond the crown and start to think to yourself, if I don't just settle with going back to my regular day-to-day reality, what else do I want to create? What other freedom, what other opportunities, what brand am I building, if not just for a title that's eventually gonna go back to whoever is gonna wear it next or sit on my shelf? And then what am I gonna do? Go back to my regular 9 to 5? Go back to watching other girls living their lives as queens and traveling and speaking and doing all of these incredible opportunities while I just sit and scroll on my phone? I know if you're listening to this that that's not what you wanna do. And I'm calling you out on it because I wish someone called me out on it much sooner. I wish someone would have told me, Maria, you can fake play pageants all you want, but if you keep coming back to a reality where you're miserable, where you're working 8 to 12-hour jobs, multiple jobs at a time, feeling exhausted, not being able to take good care of yourself, and on top of it, not even being compensated that well for it, despite the fact that it's like a noble profession you're in, it's time to make a change. It's time to look at what else you're here to create because one thing I know about you, my pageant gal, and this is why a lot of women, they love me, but it's like they love me, but they hate to see me coming too because I call you to rise bigger and I call you out of your excuses. I call you out of your BS. I call you out of all of the reasons that tell you to play smaller, that tell you to retreat and go back to your comfort zone, that what you have is enough. I don't let you settle for that because I know you're to do more. And oftentimes I tell my clients that the title and the crown that you're here to win, and I know it feels like a huge uphill thing. I know it feels like the biggest thing to you, and it is. I remember that feeling, but it's actually the smallest thing that you're here to do. And the minute that you realize that, bigger doors will open for you. And you'll step into a confidence that doesn't wonder, what question is the judge going to ask me? Oh, but what if I don't do the best on stage compared to her? You get out of all of this small-minded thinking about, oh, I have to do this to maybe win the crown. And instead you start seeing yourself as a much bigger leader in a much more valuable, audacious way. And that is truly how you go to the top of the industry and have people know about you, is when you allow yourself to dream bigger, is when you don't just go for the crown, which is a short-term mindset and a short-term journey. Instead, you start to think about the long-term legacy and empire that you are here to build. And I'm here to tell you it comes in 2 different ways in my world. It comes through building a brand online and in person where people know you for your story, your message, and your offers. And it also gets to come through building a business, taking the skills, taking the experience, taking the wins that you've learned, and now transforming that into a way that helps other people and actually compensates you with more time, with income, and with some of the best work that you get to do if you know that this is what you're meant to do. So that years down the road, when all the pageants are hung up, when all of the sashes are hanging, hopefully in a beautiful crown case, just like I have behind me, You don't look around and you're in an office cubicle that you don't want to be in. You're not setting your alarm for 5, 6, 7 a.m. to go to clock into a job that you don't actually enjoy. You're not sitting late at night scrolling on social media looking at what all the current pageant queens are doing for the day or what trips they're taking. You're playing a part in that. You're the one who's doing that. You've got trips lined up. You've got speaking events lined up. You've got income coming in every couple of days because you set it up to be that way, because you didn't settle for just a crown and a sash that you had to invest in. Instead, you also chose to invest in yourself and what was beyond. And trust me when I say I remember that feeling. I remember feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm about to spend thousands of dollars to go compete internationally, but I do not care. I am investing double that amount into my business, into myself, into my future. And that support alone gave me, even if I hadn't done the program, even if I didn't show up to the live calls or I didn't do all the resources, I became a much more trusting and fully realized version of myself because I said yes and I answered the call to what I was here to do outside of pageantry. And this is your invitation to do the same. And I'm very excited to say that for those of you that were not in the Crown to Empire Challenge, we announced there first that we have a brand new track inside of my favorite program I've ever run, the Queen Collective. The Queen Collective is a 6 to 12 month group coaching space that is more than just a pageant program. Up until recently, it's been about pageant prep, and we've had an insane track record of clients come in, new competitors, trained competitors, and go on to win their titles, go on to place in the top 5, go on to do incredible things outside of winning the pageant, growing their platform across the globe, gaining thousands in sponsorship. But the craziest thing was happening. I had clients telling me, Maria, I don't want to leave. And so what they would do, some of them would go to the Make It Rain membership, some of them do my one-off trainings, some of them come to my retreat. And that's when I realized we need to do something bigger for them, for the women who want to stay either in the pageant world or in this space of other ambitious women going after their goals and be able to build their brand and their business after the pageant stage. So that's why we're introducing track 2 of the Queen Collective, a 6 or a 12-month continuation option for women who are going bigger than a crown and building their empire. There's additional calls in this track. There's additional coaching via chat every single week where you're with me in a small group of women, chatting out your actions, setting up your goals for the week, taking action and accountability, getting my feedback, because we all know that this is a new journey that you're about to embark upon, and that getting feedback and having someone to plug into and having a very supportive and uplifting space is what's going to accelerate your results. On top of it, you also get one-on-one coaching, a one-on-one coaching kickoff call with me, and an entire portal of trainings to dive into the minute that you join so that you're not just sitting on ideas and thinking about how you want to make a bigger impact and seeing other people do it and wondering if it's for you. You actually have the resources and guidance to start getting your butt in action. Everything from how-to templates, content calendars, planning out your business model over the next few months, money mindset trainings, DM conversation trainings, everything that I've used to build a multiple 6-figure pageant coaching business within just 4 years. Since that time, I said yes to myself. I have packaged it into this track for you. And right now it is open for enrollment. And what I want to do, because I love this space and I treat my programs like they are my children, and I want to make sure that this is the best space with the best intentioned women who have very clear, specific goals that I know I can support you with, and that I know it's going to be a vibe match for this incredible space. I'm opening up my calendar for a short period of time. So if you're listening to this, I want you to check the show notes below if you're feeling like I need a space that challenges me to rise. I need a space that helps me take action every single week. And I want to be in a space where I am called to rise in a bigger way, where I'm owning my value and I'm sharing that with the world. And because of it, I'm being compensated way beyond what I could have ever imagined. The Queen Collective Track 2 is for you. And for a limited time, I'm opening up my calendar spaces for enrollment to have a conversation to make sure that this is the best fit for you. So you can take a look in the show notes, book a call with me. It's going to be me, you, one-on-one. I always say there's no pressure ever, but it's our opportunity to chat about what's on your heart, what you want to create, and making sure that the Queen Collective Track 2 is a full body yes for you to join. Because let me tell you, when women join this space, they don't want to leave, and I don't blame them. And now there's a place to stay and grow and rise and build your empire beyond the stage. So I'm very excited to announce that. And as always, if this episode resonated with you, share it to your Instagram stories and tag me in your biggest takeaway because this is one that is bigger than the crown. And that's something not a lot of people are talking about, but I'm going to talk to you about it because I've won six. I've competed in 11 pageants. And let me tell you, the biggest thing that I've done isn't winning one of those titles. It's what I got to build beyond it. So, chin up, crown on. Let's continue to conquer by building your empire, hopefully in the Queen Collective Track 2. If you book a call with me, let me know so I can get excited for you in this next potential step. And I will see you in a future episode.